my weekly teen talk. Unfortunately, my teens are out and about, so today we have special guests, which are my Dress Out interns for the summer. And we have them joining us, and we're going to talk today about self-confidence, self-awareness, and continually dealing with being isolated inside. We are all in the yellow zone here in Pennsylvania, and I do have some interns who are in Ohio, and just kind of how everyone's adjusting to this new environment that we are in. So let's start with Britt. Britt, tell us what you feel self-confidence is for yourself. Even what is the true meaning about self-confidence?
I think for myself, self-confidence, trying to think of how to word it all best. I think for me, self-confidence is just 100% believing in myself and my abilities, and knowing that I can put myself out there and put out the best me that I can. And that's where my self-confidence comes from. It comes from this state of I can be the best me that I can be, and that's where my confidence lies.
Now, since this is my teen talk, now all my interns, you guys are all in college. How did you have a lot of self-confidence in high school? Or did you just learn over the time of the type of person that you wanted to be?
I think I definitely didn't have as much self-confidence in high school as I do now. I feel like in high school, you grow up with these people and like there's not much to do. So I feel like you get bullied a lot when you're that young. Like I got bullied for my hair all the time. Like I hated having red and curly hair. And I just feel like at that age, you're not like, nobody's that age is really mature enough. So they're all just kind of bored and they just pick on people just for fun. So I think over the years, my self-confidence has definitely grown a lot just because I'm more mature and then everybody else is maturing too. So I feel like a lot more people are more accepting the older we get of just unique people.
I found in college, there's so much diversity and people are way more accepting, and you really find yourself and find the people that really care about you. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've moved around a lot of my life. So everywhere I kind of went, I realized that people had grown up with the same people from kindergarten through to, wherever I was at that current state in schooling. And for part of my life, I lived in Haiti, which it's completely different. And I lived there at a time right between middle school and high school. So when I went into high school, I had a completely different mindset than a lot of the other kids. And it was like an immediate outcasting, because I think a lot of people, when you grow up around the same things and the same lifestyle, you almost get worried about things that aren't what fits your mold that you have. And so rather than thinking, oh, well, I can bring something new to the table, I thought, okay, I need to fit this mold the best that I can and pretend that that's who I am. And then I got to college and I found that there was a lot of celebration and having this different outlook and this different background. And I got to break out of this fake mold I had made for myself for the previous years in high school. And it was liberating.
Oh, so what do you, Bridget, think that self-confidence is?
For me, it was really finding myself and knowing that I am enough and everything about me is perfect in my own way. And there's always someone that you might think is prettier than you or better than you at some things, but your uniqueness is what's special about you. And everyone has something special about them and everyone's dealing with something. But just coming from, all the things I've accomplished in the past and how far I've come, growing into myself, I'm just proud of myself and knowing that I'm continuing to grow and becoming the woman that I'm supposed to be.
Now, did you have all that confidence in high school?
No, not really. I came from a Catholic school and went public in high school, so it was hard for me to make friends. Like Britt said, everyone knew each other previously, and it was hard to kind of figure out where I fit in. And I sort of found my way, but friends, they came and they went. And I do think coming to college, it was different. The friends I met, I stuck with, and I've grown with, and it's just a different experience.
Okay. Now, what about you, Amanda? What do you feel that self-confidence means? What does it mean to you?
Definitely just loving yourself. Actually, back in November, I actually got a tattoo on my arm that says I am enough, just because I struggled a lot with self-confidence. So I finally just got it tattooed, and I love the tattoo because I literally just look at it every day because it's just on my arm, and it just reminds me that I'm enough. Like I mentioned before, I got bullied a lot just for having red and curly hair when I was younger. So now that I'm older, I just think learning to love yourself is literally the most important thing. And kind of what they said too, in high school, I feel like you were kind of forced to be in a mold and also to be friends with those people because you're in such a small school, such a small town, and you don't really have other options to fit in other places. And when you come to college, there's just so many different people that you kind of actually get to choose your friends more than you did in high school, because high school, you're in the same classes, the same people. College, you're in, it's so many different types of people, so many different places. They all grew up so differently. So I think you get the chance to pick who you actually want to spend your time around and pick people that are similar to you. And I think that also helps with your confidence the older you get too, knowing that you're not alone. Like there's other people that are similar to you. You don't have to be similar to the person you were in high school with the person that was sitting next to you.
No, and I think everybody, regardless if they want to admit it or not, everybody deals with certain things, even in my age, or certain things that I carry throughout my childhood and even up until now, that it's a constant battle. But, the true thing is that you got to get real with yourself and to what what you truly are, because nobody else can tell you what you want to be. And it's hard because, just like that you having your tattoo on your arm, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like waking up in the morning, like, okay, I'm enough. And sometimes it's hard, especially here in Pennsylvania. I know Ohio, you guys are open more and more freedoms, but we've been shut down since mid-March. And I basically have been, working out of my home, and sometimes it's just like, you don't feel like getting up and putting on makeup or just even feeling like you're who you truly want to be, because you just get into a depression state, and it's a hard. And I think even without the pandemic, sometimes it's hard for people to certainly sometimes get up on a daily basis and just like look in the mirror and be like, hey, I'm gorgeous, or hey, I'm beautiful, hey, I'm enough. And, that's where, if we can help out any teens or anybody that is struggling with their identity or their self-confidence or their self-esteem, I think waking up every day and just starting the day off in a positive, because that, if you wake up and you get right onto social media, let's face it, social media is just not a lot of positive on there sometimes. And it is just like, it could beat you down with such negativity and get into your aura, and, everything is just, I think if you first thing, wake up, be grateful for the first day, for getting back up on the day and getting another day to live, and, just being grateful for what you have and who you are, and then just trying to set your tone for the rest of the day that way. And, hopefully it'll steer off some negativity. And I guess let's talk about even social media. I mean, I think that you can see a lot of bullying on social media, even with adults, and it's pretty bad. And it's just like, I know that there was bullying when I was growing up, but never really had that platform of social media that everybody has a voice, and it's easier to say something when you're behind the screen versus saying something to someone's face. And I think it's, I don't know about you, but I think social media has really put a damper and hurt relationships, with girls and, girlfriends, spouses, and I don't really, it can be positive, but I also think there's a lot of negative around social media. I don't know what you guys think about that, but what about you, Bridget? What do you feel? How do you think social media has changed the way we live in this world?
I'd like to think it's gotten better, because there's a lot of people out there that realize that people are being hurt by an image that you're supposed to live up to. I think that's the biggest thing, seeing other people and how pretty they are and how perfect their lives seem on social media, when in reality they're not really displaying their true selves. But I think a lot of people and celebrities have started, take pictures without wearing makeup and, just show their daily lives and talk more about mental illness and stuff like that, and are trying to be more real and open with their audience. So I think there's kind of a balance between good and bad on social media, but I like the direction it's starting to take, especially with celebrities and using that platform for good.
Okay. What about you, Amanda? What's your thoughts on social media?
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's definitely good and bad. I know there's a trend right now on TikTok that shows like how you pose in pictures. It'll have like, a girl, we be posing and she'll look, great. And then she'll sit down and she'll be like, see, this isn't just reality. Like, that's not how I look all the time. How you pose yourself has a lot to do with, social media and everything. And it's okay to look different. And then I also saw something actually this morning that said, even if everybody in the world ate the same and exercised and did everything the same, we all would have different bodies, and that's okay. And that's how it's going to be. And I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Like that's so true. But also with social media, I think it's how, you put yourself out there. You can engage in the hatefulness, or you can unfollow and block and, just walk away from all of that and not encourage it. So I think you yourself, even though you don't think so, you can have a huge impact on how people are on social media. You don't always have to engage. You don't always have to entertain the hate. Help the people out that are getting hate too. You have power on social media, good and bad.
Okay. And then Britt, what do you feel about social media?
I think it's that famous quote of with great power comes great responsibility. It's, that whether that be your own power or whether that be other people's power, I think everyone has their own personal duty to make sure that they're using social media for good, not bad. And sadly, some simply don't take that into account. And like Amanda was saying, and like Bridget was saying, it's up to the individual to decide what they're going to play into and what they're going to allow themselves to see. And it's a hard balance of learning what you want to put out there and what you want people to see, but also how do you stay true to yourself and how do you open yourself up to that?
Okay. Now, I know that TikTok is big, and I noticed that they do a lot of special needs children on TikTok, which I think is awesome. And they're doing those dances and stuff. And I don't know how to do TikTok. I'm still going to figure that out. But I think that's really cool to be able to see that diversity, that it's not everybody that's just perfect, but there's all kinds of people on TikTok that are actually trying out the dances and, videoing themselves, because I will say it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that and put yourself out there. Because I think that once you put yourself out there, you're opening up for anybody to comment. And, there are still some mean people, but it seems like there's a lot that have embraced, those videos there on TikTok with a lot of the kids that are special needs, which I think is a positive thing. Now, we did have a young girl that, with social media, that they did post something about her. And unfortunately, it was just too much for her. She ended up taking her life. Her name was Meryl. Excuse me. And she was a 15-year-old girl. And, we interviewed her mom a couple weeks ago, and she just being isolated and kids just being very mean on Snapchat, from what I understand, and, just making comments. And she just had enough. And unfortunately, she ended up taking her life. And that just, to me, that's sad that it has to get to that point where somebody feels that that's their only way out to have some peace in their mind and in their life. And it's just, just like what you said, Bridget, during this pandemic, the one thing I don't think we have focused a lot on is mental illness. And, we did talk about like suicide, like with, a lot of the people that are happy on the outside that, always make sure everybody else is good. Those are the ones who they have struggles inside. We brought up, Kate Spade. She was who would have thought that she would have, took her own life as well as Robin Williams. I mean, that in itself, I mean, you never would have thought, because they look like they had the world. And I think that, sometimes too, that we take for granted that if someone is happy-go-lucky on the outside, you just never know what somebody's dealing with on the inside. And that's really challenging, because one time, like, if you can just say something nice to somebody, that I think that's so important to, make people feel good versus bringing them down. And we did talk a little bit about with my teens, as far as like, even like relationships. I mean, you guys are in college now. With relationships with guys, do you feel that, I mean, and I'm sure like with maturity and everything, do you feel that guys in this, from high school to college, they're more superficial based off of like beauty, or do you think they are looking more internally, or do you think they still look on the outer shell, as far as what girls look like in order for like relationships? What do you think, Amanda?
Ooh, that's so hard. I feel like they're all just different. Like, I've met guys that, well, especially like in high school, I was like, oh my God, I have to have pin straight hair and I have to wear makeup all the time and dress a certain way. I've definitely found the older I get, there's a lot of guys who say like, I don't even like makeup, don't wear makeup. I don't care if you dress this way or that way. But then I've also met guys that have that, kind of mindset where they're like, my girl has to be the prettiest girl ever. She has to be perfect. She can't be goofy. She can't be anything. She has, so I kind of just feel like it's all just depends on the guy. I've just met so many different ones, and they all have preferences. And I feel like that's okay. I feel like, we have our preferences too. So I feel like that's kind of hard to answer for me anyways.
Okay. What about you, Britt?
I think for me, when in both looking at females and males, it is always important to me that I find someone who respects me in every aspect of my life and will support me in every aspect. And it's a tough road, because you've got to learn who you are before you can try to connect on a deeper level with someone else. And when you're in high school, at least for me, like Amanda was saying, you get caught up in this, who do I need to be to fit this person, rather than who am I on the inside, and what can I give into a relationship with my partner to make it a healthy and balanced relationship. And when I got to college, it took a little while to learn that. Freshman year, you're caught up in the party aspect, the social aspect, how can I pin myself to have a lot of friends and constantly have things to do and places to go. And you get caught up in that, and you get caught up in this sense of, losing yourself. And I found, at least for me, my sophomore year was a little bit more blunt, in which I kind of had to face that reality and say to myself, who am I? So that then I can figure out who I want to be with.
Mm-hmm. I agree, for sure. That was good.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Bridget?
So I've been dating my boyfriend since I was a senior in high school, and I'm now going to be a senior in college, and kind of watched how he's matured. So I think it is a maturity thing, as well as, like Amanda said, just everyone's different. And I think it's important to find someone who sees the inner beauty and not so much the superficial. But there are going to be guys out there that you want their approval. And I think, as Britt said, finding the confidence within yourself and really finding yourself is important before you jump into any of that. Because I remember in high school, I used to care so much what people thought of me. And once I started to let that go and really love myself, that's when I met my boyfriend. And I think I had to take that step in order for it to work out in the end.
Now, how many high school friends do you still stay in contact with?
Only a handful, honestly. And there's no hard feelings or anything like that. It's just people grow apart. And the ones that I was super close with in high school, I still see and remain in contact with. And we still, when we hang out, it's like, we've never really been apart. But there's definitely only a few really close quality friends that I'm still in touch with.
Okay, what about you, Amanda?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I've lost a lot of friends over the way just because, like she said, like you grow apart. Every time I'm home from college, there's definitely a few people that'll hit up and I'll say, hey, what are you doing? Let's catch up. But I talk about this a lot actually with my mom because I'm always like, when I'm home, I'm like, oh, I don't really have that many people to hang out with. But I realize that, everyone does grow apart. There's people that stay here and they're still in like this mindset of this small town that I grew up in. And then there's people like me or other people that have traveled and gone different places. And you kind of just, you grow apart, you get a different mindset. There's people that are open-minded to other things and closed-minded. So everybody just really changes, especially with the more experience in the world that you get.
Okay. And then Britt?
I don't really have a lot of connection with a lot of people from high school. I mean, sure, like we follow each other on social media, we'll comment on each other's posts, sometimes give little life updates, what have you. I think there's really only one person that I've kept any kind of deep connection with. But what's really been great about my friends from high school and moving into friends from college is all of my friends from high school and we all agreed that we want each other to be healthy and happy and expand in life. And if that comes with new friends and new paths, that's amazing for that person. We just want that whoever it is who's moving on to know their worth and to know who they're spending their time with is worthy of them. I saw this note on social media once, I want to say my senior year of high school, that it was someone wrote a note as a friend to their friend's future friends, saying to the person who meets, this girl, I want you to know how amazing she is and what her worth is inside and out. And I want you to keep that in mind as you grow with her and learn with her and take good care of her for me. And it was a really sweet note that I've kind of kept to the back of my mind whenever I go to, make new connections with new people. It's almost this funny joke of, would my best friend since freshman year of high school think this is also a good person? Even if I don't talk with them, you keep that opinion with you.
No, and I think, because I would say probably for myself, I've been out of high school for a while. I won't tell you the year, but I probably have maybe two people that I truly talk. Like, I have acquaintances. I mean, we're all friends on like Facebook and social media, but it's not like they're coming over to my house and having a barbecue with my husband and I. But I mean, there are a couple that I do talk to, because I mean, it is true when you come from a small town, which I do, sometimes people don't leave and they just have that, they're still stuck in the small town. They're there in the small town. And like, even the school that I went to for high school, there's a lot of my classmates have children going through that high school, and they just continuously, a lot of families, groups that continue going through the high school. And I think that's, even my brother lives in Texas, and, there's a lot of transient people go in Texas. They move in, they move out. And that's where, I don't know if that helps you also grow too, because I think if you are moving, then you're learning how to interact with people, how to make new friends, and how to not just like, be in that same clique or, adapt to other people in your community, where you can stand out and like be your own person. And I think there's a positive to that, to being like going into like other high schools and stuff. And I think it's hard because there is a lot of cliques, like even in small towns. I'm sure there's cliques also in college, because I know with me in the business school, there was, there's certain groups that hang out in like the sororities and stuff. But I mean, to be your own identity person, I mean, I think it takes a lot of courage to be that type of person. To find out who you are. And if you get that while you're in high school before you get to college, I mean, that's hands down, that's a, positive thing, because it takes a while I know for myself, I mean, from high school to college, and just trying to find who I was, who I want to be, what type of person does Carrie Ann want to be, and when I left this world, what are people going to remember about me? That's where I always feel like, find your mark and do your mark very well, so that when you do leave, people are going to remember that about you. I mean, I think that's always how I kind of lived my life. But we have, like with this graduation, a lot of graduations are during this time. If you could give, looking back now, if you could give a advice to a person who's graduating high school, what would that be for them? Let's start with Britt.
I would say never hold back. Meaning, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. Don't leave anything behind. Give it your all and give yourself your all, because who you are and the work that you're doing is going to be worth it. Whether that be following your dream, whether that be just submitting a term paper on time, do it to the best of your ability.
Okay, Amanda?
I would say don't be scared of new opportunities and new changes. I feel like after I graduated high school and went into college, I was kind of scared to make new friends and to get involved. So my freshman year of college, I really didn't have many friends and I really wasn't involved in anything. And I feel like looking back, I would tell myself, like, do not be afraid. Nothing bad can really happen as long as you stay open-minded and you just try. So just put yourself out there. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Find something else. But yeah, definitely just don't be scared of change and just embrace the change and see what you can do with it.
Okay, and Bridget?
For me, I was honestly terrified to go to college. I was super anxious in the first week. I remember it was so terrible for me, and I was considering switching to community college, and I'm just a homebody, and it was just a whole new experience for me. And I guess my advice would be to not give up, because if I would have given up, my life would be completely different, and I wouldn't have been able to travel the world like I did and meet the people that I did and go to school for what I want to do. So it was really hard for me, but I did get through it, and I think anybody can get through it if you have a support system and you just look to the future and what you can accomplish, and just don't give up on yourself.
Okay. And then what do you think beauty is? Do you think beauty is just somebody that, puts on makeup, or what is your concept? We'll go with Amanda, about what you truly feel beauty is. Is it just skin deep? Is it internal? What characteristics do you look at somebody and say, man, that person is a beautiful person?
I think that's all just opinion based. Like when you look at someone and you say, oh, that's a beautiful person, like what do you personally think? When I look at someone, I think of everything. I said, are they a beautiful person? Are they a nice person? Are they a good person? And then, you can say, oh, they have nice hair or whatever. I think it all just depends on what you think is beautiful, and what I think you need to see the beauty in yourself too.
Okay. And then Britt?
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's completely up to you to decide who you believe is truly beautiful. And by that definition, I mean characteristics. I mean, at their core, at their soul, are these people beautiful people? Are these people who make the world a beautiful place and make it a place that is beautiful for others?
Okay. And Bridget?
I agree that it's something that comes within and shows through. But yeah, for me, beautiful is what you have within you. And I'd say everyone in this chat is beautiful. And I think everyone has an aspect of beauty. And like Britt said, it is in the eye of the beholder. And you can see beauty within different people. And yeah, it can be opinion based. I do get that aspect of it. But I think it's more so what's inside and what you have to offer to other people.
Okay. And then are you afraid of failure, Britt?
Absolutely. However, in facing failure, it's so incredibly important. I think one of my biggest fails, I went to London at the beginning of the semester, and one of my biggest failures was just adjusting at first. It was really difficult, and it was a really daunting task to learn how to adapt to a completely new environment. I went in and literally knew no one at this school. I didn't have family in London, and it was terrifying. And I failed for a bit. There were like 2 weeks of, on and off times where I didn't have the energy and the motivation to do what I wanted to do. And I looked at myself one day and was like, that's okay. I failed, and that's okay. But how am I going to grow from this failure? And how am I going to build myself so that I don't make the same failure again? And even if I do, what can I learn then from round 2 and keep building and building?
Right. No, I agree. What about you, Amanda?
Oh, yeah, I'm terrified of failing. But I also realized that I try something and I don't fail. It feels amazing. It was worth the scare, honestly. And then, there's always times you're never always gonna succeed. So you will have to face failure, a billion times in your life. So yeah, it's scary. But again, like Britt said, like, what can I do? What can I learn next? Like, it feels great to succeed, like, love it. But, you have to be accepting of failure too. And from then on, make a new game plan and say, what am I going to do now?
Okay. And Bridget?
Yeah, I'd agree that I'm afraid for sure. But in the back of my mind, I know everything's going to work out. And I have faith that everything will go as planned. But you definitely have to try for it. And I don't get to know a lot. I'm the youngest of 7. So that was something I really didn't hear. So when I went to college and started looking for an internship, receiving the no was really hard for me. And it took a lot of tries. And it made me realize you really do have to try hard. And, you can't just say, oh, it'll all work out all the time. You have to put the effort into it. So I'm so happy to have found this internship. And it did work out in the end, but it was hard for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's even being myself as an entrepreneur, being your own business owner is not easy. I mean, I started in 2010 and we'll be celebrating 10 years here in August, but the first years, I mean, I almost went bankrupt just because I didn't manage my overhead the way I should have managed it. And I just like, oh man, I'm going to be the biggest bridal shop in Pittsburgh, and didn't pay attention to like the little things. So I made a lot of mistakes on my part by overbuying product and, not turning the investments with, customers coming in and how to market the store. And I think there was a lot of opportunities that I had to learn. And I was always afraid of failing because I always held myself to a higher standard. And I just felt like if you failed, that means you are a loser, or you didn't make it, or you're going to disappoint your family, disappoint, everybody that looked up to you. And you know what? I learned a lot from failing, and I learned a lot about myself. That, my husband laughs because Rocky's like my favorite movie, because I always like being the underdog and then being at the end, like, I'll prove you wrong. And I think that where I've taken the business from starting by selling other people's brands to where we're at now in the South Hills Village, and, selling our own brands, picked up a store in Arkansas. They'll be selling our brands, working on other different aspects to keep Dress Hot building, and, showing my gowns at New York Fashion Week. I mean, I was scared to death. I'm like, what do I know? And, being able to get out there and just doing it. I mean, heck, I even auditioned to be on a Broadway singing. I never even did that before. I didn't get it, but I was like, man, I did something nobody else did in my family. But it's just, I think that taking risks is a good thing. And if you do fail, like Britt said, you learn from it, and, you just, how can I do it better the next time? Because life is all about learning, and life is all about experiences. And if you just stay in your little bubble, you're never going to learn or live the life that you're meant to live if you just kind of play everything safe, is kind of my thoughts. But I think that, my mark is I want people to be able to be like, man, she was a good person. She had a great eye. She was very kind, considerate, and caring. And, she was a lot of fun to be around. And she truly cared about the people that worked for her. She truly cared about anybody that knew her. And that's where I want to leave my mark. So let's say, Amanda, what would you want to leave, if today was your last day? What would you want to leave that everybody remember Amanda?
That I was open-minded. I would say I always say I want to travel, and I always say I want to go to new places. So if this was my last day and then people had stuff to say about me, I would definitely want them to say she was open-minded. She was always wanting to, learn how other people live and see new places of the world and just, get away from the small town mentality.
Okay. What about you, Bridget?
For me, I think it would be that I was kind to people. In high school, I have friends that I haven't talked to in a while, but they always, say when they say happy birthday or something like that, they always mention, you were so kind and you always were there for other people. And that's something I carry with me and try to be no matter what. I just want to be a kind person and help people in some sort of way.
Okay. And Britt?
I think for me, it would be that I was a strong and creative soul who positively impacted not only those around me, but the ground that I walked on. That if I was ever someplace, that I left that place with a positive impact of some sort.
Okay. I think that this is a good series, even if my teens weren't here, because we did talk about some of these issues with them. And it's amazing how, you look back at some of the videos that we have completed with my teens and where you guys are in college, the answers are so different. And I think that's very, it's just very awesome, like very, very neat to me to see that where my teens are to where you guys are as far as college and how, how that difference of opinion is from what they've answered to what you guys have answered. And, it's very unique. And I think once teens see that, with you guys that, it may help them learn. It may help them feel a little bit more confident. It may help them with something that maybe they are struggling with as far as, I do have a senior who is going to college and she's starting out as a freshman. And so this is it for her. And, doing that transition, I know she's so excited, but, she's very outgoing and, how can she go from her school to her new college life? And, it's a big change because sometimes too, a lot of girls and guys, once they leave high school, it's like they're getting away from mom and dad. There's a little bit of freedom. I don't have somebody over top me. Wake up, you got to get to school. And, the party scene's a little bit different than in high school. And, so responsibilities come very quickly. So once you graduate high school, then it's like, welcome to the real world, right? So we just, we do hope that anybody out there as far as watching with graduating this year and going into college and starting their new life and new adventure, that we do wish them well. We wish much success. Do not fear failing, because you know what? Failure just makes you stronger. It builds the person who you will eventually be. And it just builds character, and it's okay to fail. And it's taken me a long time to learn that. And you heard from my interns, who I'm very excited that was able to join us today. And they will continuously be on our Teen Talk. We do have a couple that were not able to be with us. But, if you have any questions or any ideas of what you want to ask them, please feel free to message us. And you know what? Just love who you are, embrace yourself, and that's all that Dress Thought's about. And wake up every single day and just say, I am somebody, I love who I am, and today is going to be a great day. So start the day off with a positive. Is there anything that, before we sign off, Britt, would you like to mention anything to one last tip or trade or anything?
I think just like you said, take every day and remind yourself of your own personal beauty and power. And take that with you.
Okay, Amanda?
I would just say stay open-minded, embrace change, stay positive, and you'll get through it.
Okay, and Bridget?
Yeah, don't forget to love yourself and keep pushing through, and you'll do great things.
Okay, well, this is Carrie Ann with our Teen Talk for this week. And I thank my interns for coming on, and they will be with me all summer until about the second week of August. So we're excited to have new Dress Thought team players, and we look forward to talking with you guys next week. So in the meantime, embrace yourself, love who you are, and take care. Carrie Ann, out.